Happy Sunday, Trekkies. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Starfleet Boy, where we have a casual and informal discussion about Star Trek. Today we're having a casual and informal watch-along about with Star Trek Picard, season 1. I keep doing these Father, I'm getting old. it's just a
Well,
fact.
then you will probably find this show very relatable.
Yes, I do. I have advanced aerobotic syndrome. Anyways, we're watching Picard season 1, episode 2, Maps and Legends, and we're doing a fan commentary type of thing. It's a little interactive. If there's anyone in the chats, I see Blue's already here. So, Blue, hi y'all. We'll get underway in a little bit, but it's nice to have you back, Fatheree. How's it going?
Oh, it's going.
I see you might be multitasking, which is why you keep muting, but which is fine. But I was wondering if you'd since we're buying a little bit of time for some folks to show up, if you'll tell us what you thought about this episode when it first came out.
This whole first trilogy I thought was a lot of fun. It was a kind of a departure from other Star Trek shows that tend to, open up on these big space adventures to kind of show you here's a typical thing of will be going on in the show. Where here they kind of build up to it a little bit more.
Yeah,
Uh, I guess I guess Voyager they kind of had to build up to that, and then Enterprise they kind of had to do their thing, and then Discovery had kind of an atypical opening. But I'm thinking more of the original series or Deep Space Nine or Next Generation. You kind of got a good idea of what the show would be early on, but here we spend all this time on Earth, which was I thought was a cool thing to explore. Just seeing the Earth of the 24th century
yeah,
and
totally.
getting reacquainted with this older Picard, and there are a lot of mysteries why did he leave Starfleet, um, what exactly is going on with him, what exactly happened at Mars, and so they start giving you answers very quickly, and it was a lot of fun to take part in that journey.
Nicely put. Nicely put. Well, we got a couple folks here already, and I'm now we're at time at 2:01, so we want to get this underway. You ready? Are you queued up on your end there, Fatheree?
Yeah, I'm good to go here.
All right, so here we go. Let's see. Uh, Jill's saying I need to put my room darkening curtains if I'm going to keep watching space shows before dark. That's a that's a good point. Here in South Florida right now, it's pouring rain, dark skies. It looks like the apocalypse of water outside. There's like a torrential downpour and some tornado warnings. So if I cut out Father for some reason, you'll have to take this ship and guide her through on your own until I can pop back in.
All
So
right, I'll
just a
keep
heads
that
up
in
on
mind.
that. All right, here we go. We're gonna count down from 5, and on engage we'll press play. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, engage. Here we go. Previously on Star Trek Picard. We're not skipping it, but now I have a skip button, which I never had before, which is pretty cool.
I miss having Magel's computer voice do the recaps.
Oh, I know. They could still use that sound effect too, because
Except
it's pretty clean.
except
So,
for I guess Star Trek Enterprise was the first show when they stopped doing that because that ship didn't have a talking computer.
computer voice. Whoa. Both of us watched the for Remembrance. We watched the official commentary on the Blu-ray,
Hmm.
and it was cool to watch it. I thought it was fun. It was neat to see how much I forgot that story about the pitch they did to Sir Patrick Stewart was like 30 something pages, but pretty much nothing from the pitch ended up on the show, which is an interesting look into how shows are done.
Yeah, it's very much evolution. Yeah, so basically the key things from last episode is Picard's encounter with Dodge, and now the oh wait, she must have a sister, a copy out there somewhere
Right.
who I need to find. Data has another daughter.
I like how you're saying it with the pronounced T's. Data daughter. I say button like
That's how
that.
Picard says it.
Daughter.
It's like the English thing, like you really stress the T's, not so much the D's. Like your D's kind of sound like instead of saying hand,
Daughter.
it sounds like hand.
I love these Wallenberg class. Is that what they are, right? The Wallenberg classes?
That sounds right. Yeah, but this is a Picard's tradition of starting episodes with flashbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, the first episode was a dream, not a
A
flashback, but
dream
it was kind of
sequence,
a
yeah.
flashbacky dream.
Jill says, I love the introduction of Laris and Javon and Admiral Clancy, not so much for others. By the way, these guys, the F8 units or whatever, the plastic people, as Mr. Pincus says, uh, kind of a little bit of a sad moment for me because it was like what Guinan said coming true a little bit, like in Measure of a Man. Like, it looks like the Federation is using a labor force that's synthetic.
Really? I don't. That's not what I think is going on at all. I think these
Really?
guys are. Yeah, like they're not like individual intelligence. They're kind of just like
Yeah, it's a good point. It's hard
they're
not
not.
to
These
feel
aren't like
that way about them.
exocomps.
You're right. It's hard not to feel about them that way because they look like Data. You know what I mean? They have that, like, they resemble him. So yeah, I guess you're right. There's nothing to indicate that they are indeed sentient. So that's a good point. But who knows? I mean, they stay in these containers all night on apparently. So who knows what thoughts are running through their positronic
Because they make it
brains.
very clear that Maddox was never able to replicate Data's sentience.
Data's, yeah,
So these
Data's
are
thing.
just like like the I guess like the failed attempts.
Yeah, it's a good point. That's me just reading into it a little too much. Then that's such a beautiful CGI shot of the shipyard
I
here.
love these John Eves designed shuttlecrafts, and it
Yeah,
frustrates me whenever we see the disco style shuttlecraft.
it
We
didn't
will
bother
see
me at
later in
all
this
seeing him.
episode.
Yeah, exactly. The taxi. That's right.
Not
But yeah,
just that,
these.
but they're using them at Starfleet HQ as well.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And don't get me
The,
started on Children to Mars using it. This is
these
cool
are.
here. This is like a little callback to Data.
Uh-huh. With the
We're just
quick.
completely ignoring Shaka too. We're
Oh
friends
yeah.
with this actor.
We ignored Chaka. No, we didn't mean to.
He's the one who says the
The
brown and
joke about the
sticky
brown.
joke.
Yeah, I was hoping he'd be in the chat, but he's not there. But anyways, Chaka, this guy right here is about to get killed. Is a good friend of ours. I've known him since like elementary school, since basically kindergarten. So it's awesome that he was in Star Trek. He's a working actor and a TikTok star. Go check him out on TikTok, Chaka de Silva. Now, I just saw from above that Mars looked like it had bits of blue, so they might have actually been able to put water on Mars, which is kind of a cool thing. These are brutal killings.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. He's just like,
And then the way that he shoots himself in the head here, it makes it even more disturbing. But it
worse.
also kind of
Yeah.
echoes this real life thing where you have these mass murders and then the killer kills himself.
Kills themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, very disturbing and scary.
And this is how you know that Star Trek Picard is a show for adults. Blue Spark says, I haven't seen this episode since it aired.
Yeah, a
And
lot of people
then,
haven't watched Picard in 2 years. I'm guessing because that
yeah.
was the last time the show had new episodes. So it's fun to revisit this.
Uh, Jill meant to include Rafi in that list. I love the introduction of Laris, Jaban, Rafi, Admiral Clancy. Not so much for the others. Does Facebook use? Oh wait, does F8 use a positronic brain too? I missed that. I think
No,
they're
no,
not using positronics.
they haven't
Oh,
they haven't
okay.
been able to build another positronic brain.
Brain. Okay, gotcha.
Maddox hasn't been able to replicate that technology.
I guess that was in the Girardi dialogue from last episode, possibly.
Yeah, they talk about Maddox a little bit there.
Yeah.
But he has since disappeared.
I never put this connection together, but it's in the commentary yesterday that I watched on the official commentary for episode 1. Alex Kurtzman was pointing out how the opening credits actually show his progress of being deconstructed and reconstructed as a synth, and I'm like, oh, duh! Like it's right there. So that's always really cool when you see that the credits do echo the show. So this was written by Michael Chabon and Akiva Goldsman, and directed by Hannah Lee Culpepper, who does the
Yeah.
next one too. So it's cool that she got to open the show.
This is the middle chapter in the Culpepper trilogy that kicks
Mm-hmm.
off Picard.
Timestamp for Jill and anyone else. Also, if you ever need a timestamp, audience feel free to let us know in the chat. So we're at 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So let me know if you need another fine tune on that.
No, this is where we get the CSI Romulus, which is cool because
It is
these
pretty
characters are
cool.
very mysterious. We didn't know anything about them. Now we get to. I mean, we do learn that they're ex Tal Shiar.
Yeah, totally. How do we? I mean, and I don't think we ever find out how they came into the acquaintance of Jean Luc, right? And into his service. Do they?
I
Do
mean, not
they
the
really?
specifics. I mean, they're
Yeah.
obviously they're kind of indebted to him, trying to save Romulans, and it is kind of weird that Picard has servants. It's very like plantation slavery type kind of like these are my
No,
house slaves,
no,
but
that's or house elves. If you're
yeah,
gonna bring Harry Potter into this,
I don't know.
wow, I didn't
I don't
think
know
about
anything about Harry Potter,
that.
but
They're definitely not his servants, Father. There is
no,
his
it's kind of a weird relationship.
a relationship. Jude's here, and Jude says, "Enjoy the episode, boys. I'll be back to watch this later." Starfleet Boy, don't let your friends tell you Picard isn't an excellent show. Thank you, Jude. You must have been listening to Starfleet Boy After Dark the other night.
Yeah,
You were actually. I
we have pretty
remember you
different
were.
friends when it comes to Picard, I guess, because everyone I know really liked this. I just
Yeah, I
some people
lost.
had problems with the season finale, which I'm included in that group. But beyond that, I think most people were having a good time watching this, as I recall.
Yeah, I think so too. I eventually found the people that were having a good time with it. But my initial my two friends that I grew up with hated the show, so it was like kind of a bummer for me. Uh,
But
but
yeah,
go ahead.
oh, I just wanted to talk about what was going on in the episode with the investigation and the way that the scene cuts back and forth. It seemed like it would have been really tricky to edit this.
Hmm.
I remember I kind of forgot, but I remember now when this episode aired when we covered it on Text Trek, talking about being impressed with this sequence.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. The Romulan technology also. I like all this stuff. Shaka's in the audience right now. Shaka, we shouted you out during your death scene.
Oh yeah,
Nice to see you.
R.I.P. Shaka.
R.I.P. We also post your TikTok handle. I think it's Shaka De Silva. We mentioned your TikTok channel if you don't mind posting it in the chat there. Comics include their backstory, but we do get a sense from the first episode about why they are loyal. No. Jaban made a comment about wanting to keep his job. Yeah, he does. It's true. Yeah, Shaka, so this is a watch along, so you got to queue up your copy of Picard and you get to listen to us wax philosophical about the show. I like that everyone has like a little tiny replicator in their house. I'm sure that was around the TNG era on Earth as well, but there's these they're cuter versions of it sitting around in
I
places.
wish they didn't just use like modern day 3D
That's
printers for
yeah.
the replicators,
I
though.
noticed that in the Utopia Planitia, it was
Yeah.
definitely a
I
3D
didn't know.
printer.
I've never used a 3D printer. I've never seen one in real life. So I didn't know that till someone pointed it out to me. But oh yeah, it's like you can buy this at Walmart.
I like that Chaka called us AI bubbles.
Yeah, this is the explanation of the Zot Vash of their kind of the Tal Shiar boogeymen, but they're a secret police within the secret police.
almost like actually the Zhat Vash. I would say you could compare it to like somewhat to like the Illuminati, or even the idea of like the Freemasons that some people have, where it's like the secret organization that actually controls the other secret
Well, or how
organizations. You know?
Section 31 was depicted in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah,
Back when it was like an unknown thing, they kind of did a very
yeah.
different approach with it on Discovery. But
Good point.
uh, th-
Tal Shiar being the equivalent to like Starfleet intelligence, you're right. So then that means the Zhat Vash would be like Section 31. That makes sense.
but it does feel like kind of a contrivance. However, it does allow the show to connect the really cool Romulan stuff they're doing with the really cool AI stuff that they're doing. And I appreciated that. One of the best accomplishments of season 1 of Picard is that it was able to flesh out a lot of Romulan society, much more than I ever would have expected we would get. The way that they kind of show how the TOS style Romulans and the Next Generation era Romulans and how it all kind of fits together, building on top of everything that had happened. They didn't throw anything out the window. You know, they used the stuff from Star Trek '09. They incorporated that. You know, that movie had like this big destruction of Romulus just to justify its villain. Well, what if we actually deal with the fallout of that? What's the galaxy like? You know, years after that, how has things been altered and shaken by that? And
Really
I
true.
think what
Very good.
Discovery season 1 really wanted to do with Klingons and like
Klingons.
show and I would say failed to do. I think Picard succeeds with the Romulans.
Yeah, I 100% enjoyed finding out all this new information about Romulans, especially it's like I said last time, like there's a lot of stuff that happens visually that you don't get like necessarily dialogue about, but just like having the appearance of two different types of aesthetic, makeup aesthetics,
No, they explain that
and
in
stuff like
dialogue.
that.
Um,
Oh, the
in
northerner
the
bit.
in
Yeah,
this episode.
yeah, that's right. He's a stubborn northerner like you.
Yeah, which was kind of how the Star Trek the Motion Picture, the novel, explained the two Klingons. The bumpy heads were from the southern hemisphere, and the smooth heads were the northern hemisphere. So Romulans, it's the opposite. The smooth heads are the southern hemisphere. The northerners have the forehead bumps. But yeah, I always hated the forehead bumps in Berman era Star Trek. I thought that was because like the whole point of the Romulans was like they look like Vulcans. That was in the original series, and then I was always frustrated with how they did Romulans in Next Generation and DS9 and Voyager. And then here they explain it here, and I'm like, oh, okay, I forgive all that. I'm okay with it.
That's awesome. Here we are back at the artifact.
Soji on the Borg cube. I used to sing that on Text Trek whenever we talk about this stuff. Kind of like smoking in the boys' room.
Jill says people from all over are working for the Romulans on the cube. That is interesting. I think that the Romulans are allowing scientists to be there, but they're not necessarily working for the Romulans, or at least that's the
No,
impression I got.
they explain that like yeah, like people are working with them or for them.
There's a cool little setup shot showing us different like parts of the cube, or the artifact as it's known. Uh, Here they are having a little bed pillow talk. So, what did you think of Narek and Soji and the whole like kind of mystery of
They were
who he
really tame
is and
with this
everything?
stuff. I would have thought there would have been like I don't know, like show like more skin or something. I thought they actually played it like really tame. Yeah, but I wasn't like totally sold on their chemistry. Um, Narek was interesting because we didn't know if he was going to be a good guy or a bad guy or what early on. And he kind of quickly shows that oh he is here to be a villain. But they eventually shine a light on it, and then it starts to make sense. Like, oh, they're intentionally keeping them mysterious because like the whole thing of the Romulans, and they really lean into this idea of Romulans, and it's all about like truth and lies and secrets
Mm-hmm.
and mystery. The
Having
fact that
like
like
a
they
different
have
door, yeah.
they have a real name that they only tell, people that they're really close to, that they really trust, and then everyone else only knows their false name. So stuff like that.
And same thing with their door, like the entrance to their home is not really the entrance to their home, like that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
it comes up later on with Ramda. But yeah, Narek's interesting because I wasn't sure. So I think he might actually be, because are you allowed to be a Jad Vash if you're not a female? So he might be a Tal Shiar agent.
No, he's
Jad
Zotvash.
Vash? Okay. My impression was that it was a cabal of females,
They never
but
say that.
they never say it. But yeah, that
I
was what
don't
I thought.
believe.
Uh, Jill says what she meant by people from all over, like the guy soldering is a non-Romulan. Yeah, I think he's an XB, which is interesting, and they
Yeah,
seem to be
they have a
putting
lot
the
of the
XBs to work.
Borgs are working on there.
Yeah.
Because there still is some. I mean, there's the Romulan Free State. We don't know a ton about that, but I mean, there's still like some form of government or organization. They have their own logo. It's the bird instead of holding those two Romulus and Remus planets. It's just like a
Yeah,
bird
it's
with
just
no planets,
the bird. Yeah.
which I always
Also,
love. That
there's
makes it seem more dangerous because it's like, oh yeah, like this beast has been dealt a big blow. It's been injured. It's had like these worlds destroyed. But a lot of times when an animal is hurt and backed into a corner, that's when they're the most violent. And it's now like this Romulan warbird is unhinged and might
mhm.
be lashing out.
Here's Dr. Ben Ayoun. Before we go past the Romulans, there's also that other Romulan group, the Romulan Empire restoration group that they mentioned, but I forget what they're called. But that comes up in Absolute Candor, I think. But this guy, Dr. Ben Ayoun, he's like our first glimpse at Picard before the a character that I guess we've never really met
Yeah, they
anyone
create
before.
this Stargazer
Yeah.
doctor.
Would this have been cool if it was Beverly doing this? Like,
No,
no,
it
right?
was
You want to
it was
save
a
her?
very bold choice not to do that because that would have derailed that would have to be like a bigger deal. Um, if Beverly knows there's something weird going on with him, I think she's kind of just obligated to
To
investigate
help.
further, and that they didn't want. This, like I said last week, this is not Next Generation 2.0. I applaud it for not being Next Generation 2.0. That would have been kind of the obvious, I would say,
That's what
hackier writing thing to
that's
do.
what Patrick Stewart wanted too. He didn't want
Yeah.
it to be that. Yeah. So
Like I don't want this show to be about Dr. Crusher and Counselor Troy and Geordi and Worf. I want this show to be about Picard having these new adventures with Raffi and Rios and Soji, and you bring those other people in when they have a functional role to play in that new story, which we see them execute that later in Nepenthe when we see the Rikers.
yeah, totally. Doesn't it? There's like a really sad moment though when he's like letting Picard know that like basically this thing might kill. If you're lucky, this you
Why do
might
they
die
never
before this
name it
thing kills you.
aromatic syndrome? Doesn't that seem odd that they never actually
It
flat out
is
say it?
really. I did notice that, and I felt that was odd too. I
Yeah, I
wonder
wonder
why.
why. Wonder what was the reasoning with that. I love seeing, like the transporters use on Earth. Just that idea of like, oh yeah, in the 24th century you can go anywhere on Earth. Like,
You
yeah,
just
I guess
walk
like
through this
Picard
thing.
he just walk instead of like the bus stop, he just walks to like the end of his road and there's like a little transporter hub, and then he can just boom be in San Francisco. They mentioned that in DS9. They said you get like so many transporter credits. Benjamin Sisko used all of his on going back home to eat in New Orleans when he first started school at the academy.
It's interesting that there are ways that they limit resources in the future with these things like credits and transporter credits and stuff. Did you?
This is the
I,
first image we saw from the show, right?
yeah, it's
It
true.
was
That's true. At
Patrick
the
Stewart talking to this ensign.
I like that he doesn't know who he is. Jean-Luc looks so annoyed here.
Yeah.
It's like
I made a meme of that was like when the Chipotle worker tells you that guacamole is now $1.75. And there's like that face that Patrick Stewart made.
this is the
Admiral
iconic
Clancy.
Admiral Clancy scene. I love her outfit, but I want
Yeah.
that. That's like my
I love
second
this
choice.
office.
Yeah, the office is cool too.
It's they really. I'm glad that they shoot this at a different place than the other Trek shows that are all in Toronto, and they do this in California because you really do get a different vibe.
Yeah. But I love this like gigantic Alcars like display piece back there. It's like
Mm.
consistent with things we've seen before, but in a new way also, which is cool. And also, it's neat to see the updates to the official the Starfleet Alcars. I think this is the only like real glimpse we get of it, and then also on Utopia, Planitia earlier. But everyone else, it's like the whatever the you know home user interface is. And then this Serena has like a totally different interface as well. The designer of all those interfaces is on Twitter. I forget his name right now, but he's pretty cool. He's very nice. He interacts with you and stuff.
But I love this. Okay, Picard wants to go investigate this. He thinks he can go find Soji. Okay, I'm just gonna walk into Starfleet HQ.
And
Surely
present my
they'll
plan.
understand. They'll just give me a ship and a crew. And then her reaction to that.
Fucking hubris.
Yes.
There it is.
Very memeable moment, speaking of memes.
It's so true. It's still being used to this day, actually.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that comes out. She makes a really good freaking point. Like, Romulans were our enemies. Like, we did the best we could. We had a disaster on our side on Utopia Planitia. Like, you know, like you could see Starfleet's side of it, which I also like that it's not like cut and clear that Jean-Luc is right, you know? That part's a bit controversial, though. She's like, yes, we do get to decide if a species lives or dies. Is there a death crystal on Clancy's desk? I didn't notice. Holy crap, I gotta pay attention.
Yeah.
She has like shapes there. I see them. She, I like how he's like, ignore me at your own peril.
Now, I do wonder, like, what if they had Commander Shelby from Best of Both Worlds? What if they had her as this admiral?
I know
So
that
look,
would have
there's
been
the
neat
Discovery
too.
shuttlecraft. I hate it. Go away.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you in season 2.
Oh, Earl Grey Trek, no worries if you're late. Do you want to have a timestamp? We'll give you a timestamp now.
You notice the Endorians in this episode? They don't look like the Discovery or Enterprise Endorians. They look kind of more like the original series Endorians.
Yeah, I did notice that. Just to give out a timestamp, we're at 24 minutes, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 25 minutes. Shaka wants to know when Picard starts talking about mutants and where's Jean Grey. Shelby would have been a distraction like Beverly. This is better, says Jill. Yeah, they from what I heard in the commentary, they thought so much about this as far as Michael Chabon and Akiva Goldsman and Alex Kurtzman. Like, they wanted to put in like all these little Easter eggs and bring back all these cameos and stuff, but at the end of the day, it was like, you know, is this really gonna further the story? Like, it's a fine line of putting in Easter eggs or references, which is what Akiva
I hate
Goldsman
this
calls
Romulan's
them.
haircut, by the way. I mean, no, not a big deal. It's just an annoying
It's a bit,
haircut.
yeah, it's a bit of an interesting haircut.
But
He
the way
looks
that
like
they
he can
handled
he can play with what's her name, the famous singer. Oh, well, I can't remember her name now. But what were you gonna say, Father?
The way that they handle the species diversity here of showing like all the different types of Romulans all together,
Yeah,
really smart.
there's an Andorian back there. She kind of looks like, yeah, like the the original series, especially like in Star Trek 4, like those Andorians.
Yeah.
This guy's like trying to be spooky. Run. I feel like if Star Trek ever made a ride at like one of the theme parks, that the Borg cube or the
Well, they
artifact would be
used
a
to have
good
that
one.
Borg thing, didn't they? That the Star Trek The Experience at the Las Vegas Hilton. There's like a Borg attraction there.
Another comment from Jill, funny one. I agree. I want new people. Also, if you're going to bring in legacy characters, stop killing them off.
Yeah, that is one criticism I'll give the show is that they killed too many. I hate when things get like real derivative and they start doing the same thing over again. 3 was too many to do in one season, so maybe back off that.
Mm-hmm. Shaka says Fatheree sounds so much younger when he's not on camera. Sorry, Starfleet boy, you sound the same. That's okay. Shaka doesn't believe we don't go on camera, Shaka, so we don't distract you from the commentary and also the show. What a video element would be too much.
Yeah, this is for you to listen to, not to watch.
Narek's like, actually,
We're
I
trying
don't
to
need
encourage you to watch along.
That's consistent with showing those tall buildings in the background with Labar, as we saw it on the show. There were some buildings off in the distance that you saw. I love that Jean-Luc.
Yeah, he says he never really cared for science fiction. He says,
Science
I just
fiction,
didn't
yeah,
get
it's
it.
really.
I love that. It also reminds me in TNG when he's trying to help Data, learn how to act on the holodeck, and he says, I was never much of an actor myself.
Right, which is another funny thing.
Yeah.
This is the character of Girardi. I've noticed some people really like her and some people just hate her, especially after she turns. But here I feel like there's a distinct difference the way Alison Pill plays her before the mind meld or whatever happens, and so here she's like a different character almost than later on.
Yeah, she's a lot more chipper here, and then she's kind of tortured
Later
later
on,
after she sees
the
the
admonition.
apocalypse,
Yeah.
the end of all life in the galaxy. Yeah, that would probably give you
It would mess
a
up
little bit of
anyone, I
baggage,
think,
yeah, to have to carry that around.
And it's not very clear, but I think O implanted some kind of directive into her as well, like some kind of like trigger, brainwashing type of thing. So this is cool, like establishing that the Soji and Daj
Yeah, the
androids
mystery
are
being here is like, oh, what if he did it? What if Bruce finally found a way from wherever he went off to, wherever he's working, and now we're seeing these Data 2.0s basically, even more advanced than Data.
Jill is saying it's like Jack O'Neill in Stargate. You know me in sci-fi. Jill says we forgive all other Trek characters for behavior under mind meld. Why not Girardi as well? Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. To me, it's pretty clear that she was under some kind of control and like it's not her fault. But yeah, a lot of folks don't like her and don't want her to continue to season 2 and want her to be in jail. I like these like XB, how they're like showing you how they basically have to rehabilitate them and take their Borg parts out. I guess
The
this is kind of
Borger,
like
the
oh, go
Borger
ahead.
is scary. Like when we saw that sign, it says like it's been like 5,000 something days since the last
Since
assimilation.
assimilation, yeah.
Yeah, it's like so hard to think of like COVID when you see these people wearing masks and stuff now.
Right.
This was right before the pandemic really hit.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right.
All of Picard aired in early 2020.
Well, you wouldn't know it from this scene, right? With all the masks, like it's very like
Yeah.
relevant. That must be funny. Like you're taking Borg parts out, and then it accidentally assimilates you.
Well,
Like
it
you're
hasn't happened in almost 2 years,
two
so good for
years. So
them.
yeah, they've got it down pat. Is
Very
that Joan?
reminiscent of First Contact, though, isn't it? Of like when you see the uh how much body horror type, how
Yeah,
graphic and disturbing it is in First Contact when you see them assimilating people, creating Borg, and here is the opposite. They're kind of like de-assimilating to get the tech.
right.
The Romulan the Romulans in kind of their desperate state, mining this Borg cube for
So,
riches because they are in that crippled state.
yeah. By the way, Jill, the Borg drone is alive because you hear the heartbeat in that scene, and when she's talking to the drone in their own language to calm them down, you hear the heartbeat get like less intense in that scene, and that's the difference here. Is they're pretty much doing the same thing that what's her face was doing. Bezazel, is that how you say Bejazel? Was
Bejazal,
Bejazel was doing, but more
I
ethical
believe.
because she would just kill the Borg and
Oh,
take
this
their
is
parts,
cool.
but
The badge he's looking at, which would have been, I guess, like the last badge he wore
he wore.
when you see the flashback uniforms, but also, what we saw him wear in Star Trek Generations and the other TNG movies. But I just happen to have that on my desk right in front of me right now. My Voyager style comm badge.
I have it right in front of me as well.
Do you know when was the first time we ever see that comm badge?
On Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, it was Deep Space Nine season 3.
Yeah,
Uh,
and the uniform too. The uniform came before the film, right? First Contact
no, First Contact came
came
first.
before. Oh, okay, okay, gotcha. Yeah, the removal process does seem careless, but I imagine they're heavily sedated or under some kind of pain relief. Oh, this is a good scene too. I like this,
Yeah, this is where we get Commodore O.
and
It's
the
a lovely line,
nickname
isn't it? The Hermit
Hermit
of
of Labar. Yeah,
Labar. What part of France is Labar in? Is it like in the southern, warmer part? Because it looks, it's always like sunny and warm there.
sunny. Yeah, I didn't look it up, but like all the wine producing regions tend to be. I
Oh,
think
yeah, in the
most of them
south,
tend to
yeah.
be more in the south. I would think. I appreciate that Admiral Clancy was pissed, but she's also like, well, we should probably investigate this. Sadly, she doesn't know that, that the person she's asking to investigate it is the seat of the whole thing, the
Yeah.
center seat.
Um, this is the first Commodore in Star Trek since we don't
TOS?
see him, but like on the comms when there's all that subspace chatter in the Star Trek the Motion Picture, when it shows that station that detected the Klingons attacking V'ger, you do hear someone mention like a Commodore there. But I
Ah.
think after that there, or no, take that back. An Enterprise. There's Commodore Williams, right?
Oh, okay. But in a long while, we haven't seen a Commodore, in other words.
But yeah, and not in the 24th century. That was the first 24th century Commodore.
Commodore.
The fan theory was that Starfleet had gotten rid of that rank, but I guess they've brought it back here.
I love it. You can't go without us.
Yeah, everyone loves these two.
Yeah, they're really great. You really get the sense that they've been working for him for a
Oh,
long
the
time,
show
for
is so
like the
good.
20 years or whatever. Yeah.
It wouldn't have been 20
Hilarious.
years, but
But a while at least, 15 years, 14,
14,
15
I
years. Yeah.
believe. I think it's been 14 since the Nova. Yeah, I really hope we get a lot of them in season 2.
And take she's so fantastic. This is a good way they reference the other guys and why he doesn't want to bring them into it. He's like, yeah, they would do it for me in a heartbeat. I wish he didn't feel that way though. But it
Well,
also makes sense.
sounds like you wanted a different show because I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
I was like relieved when they when he said this.
Yeah, no, no, no. I agree. It's the better choice. It is funny that he's like, so you need someone who hates you and and can get a ship or whatever. He's like, I already made the call, so it's already setting up like Raffi and how she feels towards him.
Yeah.
This is interesting too. So here we have the introduction of
N-
uh, Narissa
Yeah. Here she's called Lieutenant Rizzo.
Rizzo. Yeah, this is pretty cool because it makes so much sense. Like, it's so easy to alter your appearance, right? We've seen it a bunch of times on TNG. So, like, of course, there
Yeah.
would be Romulan Zhat operatives looking human, completely human among us. Maybe they act a little intense and passionate with their emotions, but
We've
but some humans are like that too.
we've probably seen them throughout
Yeah.
Star Trek, you know.
Well, yeah.
I also wonder, like you can also try to like retcon in like who was actually Section 31. Like
Hmm.
what if Admiral Cartwright in Star Trek 6 when he tries to start that he's part of the conspiracy to start the war. What if he is Section 31?
Jill asks, "Why does Larissa exist? Still think the character is a waste of screen time." She does. Her character doesn't go as like doesn't at the end of the day ends up being like a rewarding moment for 7 of 9 to kick someone's ass. But
I
yeah,
really enjoyed the character, but then I realized it was because I just thought the actress is really cute. Um,
she is actually.
there is some a good Narissa moment that I really like towards the end of the season, and I will point it out when we get to it in like 2 months.
Oh, very nice. By the way, the actor who plays Commodore O is from Karate Kid. That was like one of her first roles.
In the first Karate Kid,
Yeah, I think that's her. Hold on, let me see.
who did she play? In the 1984 Karate Kid,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Hold on, maybe I'm gonna look it up.
she was in Babylon 5 too. She was originally going to be the first officer of the station. She was in that first pilot,
Oh,
which I recommend if you're new to B5, you skip that and go straight into was it fire the fire on the line or whatever it is.
yay! Vasquez rocks, an
I was
icon of Star
disappointed that
Trek.
they make Vasquez rocks. Go away, Disco Shuttle. This is actually the real Vasquez rock because Vasquez rocks doesn't look anything like this in real life. So I was hoping this is actually supposed to be like I don't know, like somewhere in North Africa or somewhere else on Earth.
That's pretty funny. She was. Let's see here.
Because I don't remember there like what her age and what she would have been in 1984. I don't remember there being any young Asian woman like that. Now, if we're talking about like Karate Kid 2, I think I know who she would be, but not in Karate Kid 1.
She's in Karate Kid 2. She plays
Okay, she's the
Kamiko.
love
Yeah, you're
interest.
right. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's Kamiko. That's right. So yeah, and the actor's name is Tamlin Tomita.
yeah. The second
But
one is
she's
when they
very
go
prolific.
to Okinawa.
Yeah. Oh, Jill's saying she's in Cobra Kai as well.
Mm. I didn't realize it was the same actress, but yeah, that was in the last season. Well, those like she speaks with like a Japanese accent, so she's very different. Um,
Yeah, which would be more of a Romulan accent, but yeah. Here we get their first interaction. I like that shirt Narek's wearing. It reminds me of the starburst that's inside the Delta, but upside down. Like, do
Do
you
you like
see?
these Picard era uniforms? They look really good in motion. Uh,
I do like them actually.
I hate that they have like all the little deltas up at the top, but
Oh yeah, like the delta pattern. Yeah,
and sometimes the collars fit really well on people, and sometimes they
flop around.
yeah, they look a little too loose. But like
The
this like holographic communication here. This is that Deep Space Nine technology that also showed up in Discovery for a bit, but
Right. Well, I appreciate that Discovery tried to make it look like translucent and glitchy at times, because it's like perfect here, which is also like how it was in Nemesis. Shinzone had like that perfect
yeah.
looking, holographic.
Yeah, we know that
Uh,
Romulans use this.
yeah. I didn't like. I don't like. The only thing I don't like is the placement of and the size of the pips. They look like jewelry instead of pips. I don't know why, but
I like the placement. I kind of like them being on your chest instead of on the collar. I think they're easier to read that way.
good point. I just don't like how big they are. I
And
guess I
they've been
like
on the
them
collar for a long
smaller.
time, so I was ready for a change. Oh no, it's already over.
That's it.
Well, we end with next week getting to meet Rafi, and
Rafi, that's
also
right.
there is a big action sequence coming up. Which so I remember when this aired, I was saying like, it would be really cool if there's like a Tal Shiar raid on the chateau, and we have to see these ex Tal Shiar defend it, and we get that next week, and it is awesome.
It is pretty awesome. We have a couple of comments here, which is I love the scene with the introduction of Rafi. Nursa doesn't like the seduction strategy at all, grossed out. And then we did get Rafi in this episode, by the way, Fatheree, but we get more of Rafi next episode.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
proper introduction.
yeah.
This is more like the tease.
Why this incest vibe to show dominance? It's so gross. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
that
Like I
was a
don't know
weird
what that
choice.
that was a weird choice
But
for
they
me
drop it.
too.
They drop it.
Yeah, yeah, as they should. But yeah, this was fun. So I'm looking forward to next week. Overall, this was a good like middle episode. A lot of setup, a lot of exposition going on, a lot of information to give us as far as who the players are. It's setting the chess pieces, if you will, and it was done really well. And then of course you get like a lot of scenes with Jean-Luc being Dixon Hill and trying to figure out the mystery of what's going on. So it's pretty good. But
Yeah, I dig it.
we'll see you guys here next week. Father, what? Obviously, you're going to promote your Text Trek stream and podcast.
Sure. So if you want coverage on all new Star Trek episodes, you should be checking out Text Trek. We have a live podcast every Friday night on YouTube, beginning at 7 p.m. Central, and then you can listen to that wherever you get your podcast later. It's typically available late Sunday night or early Monday morning. But we try to provide the deepest analysis of these new episodes. We're currently working on Star Trek Prodigy, and we'll quickly switch back to the 32nd century and cover Discovery Season 4 when that show returns February 10th. And then we'll
Very
also be
soon.
doing Picard Season 2 later this year, and Strange New World Season 1 later this year, and Lower Decks Season 3 later this year. So we're going
So
to be
much
very
Star
busy.
Trek. Yep, yep, yep. Check out Text Trek, everybody. And then on Starfleet Boy, we had this week our Thursday discussion of the latest and greatest Star Trek Prodigy. More of a reaction as it just drops that day. So we're just all kind of gathered to like talk about what we noticed. And then you can also check out Starfleet Boy After Dark, which happens late nights on Fridays. And then we have our TOS Starfleet Boy stream, which is on Saturdays at 3 p.m. We just did Is There in Truth No Beauty?
You
And
got it right. Yay!
yes, I
Woo!
know. Like I just had to go into autopilot and trust myself. That was really weird. And then of course we're doing this series, which is really fun. Thank you, Fatheree, so much for joining me. That time went by so quick. Like the episode just ended, so that was really great. And audience, thank you so much for joining us. Tell all your friends, and we'll see you next week. Live long and prosper. Thank you.